It's the same link.
Welcome into the Roll Jays podcast, brought to you by Pepper Jack's Grill and Pyramid Contractors. Jimmie and Casey Matthews with you here. We're a little bit late. We apologize. We are having some technical difficulties here on the Big East Energy Network, but we are happy to be with you here live on Twitter and Facebook as well. Thank you to everybody that's joining us in the chat. Creighton assistant coach Steve Merfeld is going to join us here momentarily, as well as I'm sending Murph the link as we speak, Casey. Obviously, Creighton hasn't won a game all season where they trailed at halftime and then come back and win tonight. They didn't lead at all until the second half, clearly trailing at halftime. They battled back into this, a very gritty performance from the Jays as a whole, but specifically Nick Graves and Blake Harper had great performances tonight.
Yeah, I thought those two were really good. I thought Austin was phenomenal. Josh had that big jumper late on the baseline. There are a lot of plays, man. The guys made shots. I mean, what were the numbers? 50%. We shot 50% for the game. It's going to be – you're going to be in every game you play when you shoot 50% from the field. So, hats off to the guys, man. They played well.
Because they struggled in the first half, and they really got things rolling in the second half. I mean, they had two 12-0 runs.
Yeah, 66% from the field in the second half. Phenomenal. I thought the key was – we took really good shots. Probably the most questionable shot we made was Josh's, little floater on the baseline. But
that was forced up, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So we took good shots, and then I felt like we moved the ball well. We didn't settle. There were a lot of things offensively tonight that I felt like, especially in the second half, just looked like the team was in more of a rhythm, really under control. And I'm really impressed. We beat them on the boards too in the second half, especially 20-15, and on the game 39-30. To beat a Villanova team like that on the boards is, it's very promising. So there are a lot of good things tonight, man. We'll dive into all of them.
And Creighton assistant coach Steve Merfeld is going to join us now. Coach, welcome into the show, and thanks for being here. Great win.
Yeah, tremendous win. I mean, obviously, coming off that disappointing loss on Sunday, one that we let get away from us, to bounce back like this tonight. And, even though we went down 10 and guys kept battling, we got some great bench tonight. We didn't have that the other night, I think, against Seton Hall. I think we scored 11 points and had 8 fouls from the bench. And tonight they redeemed themselves and got some great contributions from Owen, from Fedor. Who am I missing? Blake, obviously. But just a total Nick, all those guys coming off the bench. They're just so important to us, whether it's 2 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes. We need those guys. Obviously, moving forward, we got a 6-day stretch where we have 3 games. So we're going to need everybody on a high volume.
Well, Murph, I was thinking as we were wrapping up the game tonight, you and I have spent more hours together than probably people realize. And unfortunately, some of those hours have been spent licking our wounds together after a really tough loss, first one of 2 on the road. And whenever you go on the road for 2, you're always thinking we just need to win 1. And you just hope it's the first one so that you can get selfish and then go after the second one too. But how hard is it when you lose a game like we lost today? We're up 16, and then this kind of becomes a must-win game, in my opinion. How hard is it to kind of rally the troops as you prepare for this one?
Yeah, I think it depends on the group. Each year, obviously, that was a devastating loss, one that we let it get away in a number of different ways. But the resilience, we practiced at Temple on Monday, had a very good practice, very vocal. Guys were talking, guys were enjoying each other. And then came to Villanova on Tuesday and got our work in here on Tuesday because we stayed in downtown Philly. And then went to the Palestra this morning for our shoot-around, and guys were really locked in. You could see each day, the attention to details getting a little better. And tonight was just a really, really good display at both ends of the floor, really.
Murph, take us back to when Jason goes down. He hurts his shoulder and he misses the majority of that first half. You talked about Blake a minute ago. He really got thrust into that role to fill Jason's role, but you guys really adjusted defensively to keep them out of the paint late in that first half. How did guys respond when they were being called upon to not only come off the bench, but maybe fit a role that they weren't anticipating going into heading into this game?
Well, that's what it's all about. It's a team. It's always a total team effort. And after the Butler win, Max spoke to the team and said, "Hey, some of you guys didn't play a lot of minutes tonight. It was based on matchups. It has nothing to do with what you're doing or how you're performing. It's just every game is going to be a little different, but always be ready. Always, put the team first and enjoy the fact that you're part of a team and a great group of guys."
And Murph, you talk about team effort, and one of the things I noticed, it felt like in the first half our ball screen coverage wasn't great. Like Jimmie said on our halftime show, we were trailing a lot and just felt like we were a step slow. Was there anything you guys did in the second half, because it looked a lot better? It looked like the communication was a lot better. But what did you see that allowed you to clean that up in the second half and make it more challenging?
I think you're right on, Casey and Jimmie. I mean, the fact is they were more physical than us in the first half. And, every game is officiated differently, and they were allowing the physicality. And we talked to them at halftime about being more physical defensively and getting into the ball. And some of our walls tonight, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but some of our walls at the rim, specifically Jason Green, were just tremendous. They scored on some of them,
Yeah.
but he has just done a tremendous job
So good at
walling
it.
up guys at the rim. Last year we depended so much on Ryan for our rim protection, but Jason has done a really, really good job as well with this as being a smaller guy.
I want to ask about that specifically because it felt like tonight they were letting just about everything in the circle go. There was a ton of contact on a lot of plays, and it felt like Creighton adapted to that. Was that something that was being talked about on the sideline about how they were kind of swallowing the whistle as opposed to the game just a few days ago where they were kind of calling everything?
Yeah, we talked about it at halftime, and every time out, we kept telling them, get into the ball, help each other. There's a term that often is overlooked in basketball, and it's help the helper. And I thought tonight we really did a good job of helping, and then another guy helping him, and the rotations were really, really good. And then, we got rebounded them. We did a good job on the defensive glass when we needed to. Duke Brennan is one of the best offensive rebounds, and he had 7 of them. But at the same time, their team only had 12, and that's a credit to our guys for sure.
Murph, offensively too, I felt like you're talking about help the helper, but also offensively, it's creating plays for other people is really what helps our offense so much. And I was really interested in the way they guarded our ball screen and really tried to ice everything. Especially, it felt like with Blake on the right side of the court, really tried to force him baseline. Some of those rescreen actions that you guys put in that allowed you guys to get into lane, was that the game plan going in? Because we took a lot more mid-range jumpers than I'm used to seeing. So was that part of the game plan, or just kind of came about through the way they guarded?
Well, they're in drop coverage, so you're going to get those. And we talked about, specifically to Austin and Josh about, hey, you're going to get a ton of these tonight. That's the way that they cover.
Okay.
And you mentioned it. I thought Jason did a really, really good job of flipping those screens and gaining the advantage. And even when they iced it, I felt like those guys were able to knife their way into the lane and create problems for them. And then, when you draw that big like that, it gives you an opportunity to offensive rebound. And we had 13 offensive rebounds tonight, and 2 crucial ones there at the end, one by Blake and one by Jason, that were just backbreaking offensive rebounds. And that's the game. I mean, those are winning plays, and they don't really show up all the time in the box score, but that's the difference between winning and losing.
That's obviously been a tough spot for you guys this year where, offensive rebounds the other way have maybe caused a few upsets or things to go the wrong way for this team. How much has that kind of been harped on and repped in practice about effort? Obviously, teaching toughness isn't something you can teach, but just giving more of an effort to grab boards underneath the basket.
Yeah, I think more than anything, our guards have gotten involved. They have helped us rebound. They've come up with some loose balls. They're in the fight, and Casey remembers that all the time. Is we always talk about get in the fight. Help these guys. They're wrestling, and obviously we're not very big up front, so it's they're boxing their guys out. So you guys clean the boards up, go get them. And I thought Josh has done a great job of that. Ty's done a great job of that. And we got to continue to do that because we're going to be undersized going into almost every game.
Yeah, it's funny you're talking about that toughness and being undersized, because I actually, I know it ended up being called a flagrant foul, which to me was total BS. But I really actually liked what Nick did in wrapping up Brennan and not letting him even get a shot off. I know he hit the free throws and I get it, but at the same time, to me, that was a message sender in some ways of, yeah, I might be smaller than you and I'm disadvantaged in this area, but it felt like a message was being delivered. Who knows if that was actually going through his head, but I really liked it. But I also wanted to ask you too about a guy in Austin Swartz, who over the last couple of weeks has just really become, he's really become our catalyst offensively. And Murph, you have so much experience in seeing guys and developing guys. Is there anything you can really point to for him that's really led to what we've seen over this last couple of weeks from him? Because it's really been impressive.
Yeah, it has. And I think, the bottom line is it started at Nebraska where he got significant minutes. And it wasn't like, if I miss a shot or miss 2 shots, I'm going to be back on the bench. Guys have to know, scorers specifically have to know that they're going to play a lot of quality minutes and it's okay. Like Isaac Trout's going through it right now. He's 0 for 9 from 3 on this road trip, but he's going to continue to play significant minutes. And when he gets an open shot, he's going to make it. It's just that's the mentality that they have. But going back to Austin, kind of funny. Coach Huss got a text from his high school coach right after the game and said, that's the first time I've seen Austin in a stance the last 2 minutes of the game. He actually got down and guarded somebody. So he's making progress in that area. It's one of those things that getting him to understand that there's, 2 ends to the game and defense is a big part of it.
You guys obviously get the chance to come back home and play St. John's after being on the road for a long time. What is the advantage of being able to come home after this long stretch and obviously coming back after a win?
Well, it's a great point. Obviously, we felt like we should have won both games on this trip, but we didn't. And now we got to, first of all, we got to rest, right? We're going to get home probably at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And we'll do some light work tomorrow, probably some more light work on Friday and more of a mental prep thing. And then, turn around and then we play on who do we got? We got Georgetown on Tuesday. So this is one of those tough stretches that you find out, what you're really made of. And, Jeremy Anderson does a great job of limiting the amount of time that we can be on the practice floor and keeping these guys fresh. And Mac relies on him a great deal because he's totally confident in his ability to, back off when we need to back off. And I'm sure that we'll be doing that in the next couple of days. It'll be mental prep and bring on the Johnnies on Saturday. Hopefully a good crowd shows up ready to cheer on the Bluejays.
There's only 15 regular season games left on this schedule. What is the message to this team in the locker room about the push towards the end of the season?
One at a time, right? We'll enjoy this one tonight. Obviously, it's very, very difficult to win on the road, but you can't turn around and then not play well on Saturday. As long as you play well, as long as you give great effort, we'll live with the results, and the results will be just fine if we continue to do that.
Well, Murph, we appreciate you, man, and safe travels back home. Congrats on the big win, and give everybody our best.
We appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having us on, and we'll be back with you on Saturday. Thank you.
See you then.
Assistant coach Steve Merfeld joins us here on the Roll Jays podcast. Obviously, Creighton gets a much-needed win tonight, Case. And when we talk about needing this momentum at the end of the season, it kind of felt like the last one slipped away from this team. This win's going to go a long, long way.
To me, this was a must-win. We talked about it after the Seton Hall game.
Yeah.
This was a must-win game for us, and to be trailing at half. At one point, we were down 10. I'm really impressed with what I saw, and I look. I'm not ready to sit here and tell you that because going into this game, I had Villanova penciled in as the second best team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready to quite go there yet with us, but man, I'm really close. I'm really close to saying if we can beat St. John's on Saturday.
Game changer. for sure.
It is, and the math might not math for us in the long run in terms of an at large, and it just might not. What you got to keep playing every game like it's the only game that matters, because truly it is. And it's very cliche, but it is the only game that matters at that time. But if you can go and beat St. John's at home, to me, you start to kind of look at it and go, okay, there's not a game on our schedule outside of, UConn at UConn that we're going to really not. I mean, you could beat anybody, but there's not a game on our schedule after that you can't make an argument that we're the favored team. Right. And I know people say maybe Seton Hall, but we're going to beat Seton Hall at home. And
beat them at their place.
We should have. And we just beat, to me, the second best team in the league at their place. So,
well, and I want to point out, I think it's important to point out why this is such a big win, because it felt like on paper, and maybe this is just me, but correct me if you feel differently, it felt like stylistically Villanova was in a big advantage, not only being at home, but from an athletic standpoint, the way they score the basketball, and especially with Jason going down. I think this is the game that Creighton fans who've been paying attention to the path and talking about the journey that is towards March Madness has been waiting to see the fight out of this team, because whether it be the last game against Seton Hall where you go 6 minutes of the last 7 without scoring a field goal, or not being able to overcome a halftime deficit, you kind of got all of that in this game. And especially with arguably your most important cog of the wheel missing 10 minutes of the first half. So it just felt like this team showed the fight and the grit that it's kind of been missing throughout the first portion of the season.
Yeah, I mean, but I kind of feel like, Jimmy, I feel like ever since we switched the lineup up,
it's felt different. I agree.
I like, to me, Ty Davis has really been the catalyst for us being a more gritty, tough team, a team that really fights. Like
I'm glad you said gritty and tough, because I think a lot of people will hear that and go, well, his plus minus is this, and Nick Graves plays more minutes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Think about the guy who all the coaches, and I don't mean to throw anybody in the bus, but think about all the guys, all the coaches on this show have referenced about lack of effort, or maybe we needing to be more disciplined in the weight room or whatever. Fedor Zugic was the first one on the floor tonight to go after a ball. Mm-hmm. Nick Graves is giving probably a little bit harder of a foul than it needs to be. I agree. I don't think it was a flagrant. And Ty Davis took that shot on the sideline where he clearly was fouled and they ruled him out of bounds, but made a 100% effort play that was had nothing to do with talent, had nothing to do with size, had nothing to do with speed. Was a 100% effort play where he should have been rewarded by getting a possession back for his team.
Yeah, and he made the other play on the baseline on the press where he's falling out of bounds and we got the timeout. And when Villanova was making that run, like Ty, to me, it's not about the stats for Ty. It's about everybody seeing the example that he's setting. And the example that he's setting is he might not be the fastest. He might not be the most athletic. He might not be the best shooter, but he's not going to let anybody play harder than him. Mm-hmm. And does he have deficiencies? Yes. Do I hold my breath every time somebody pressures him when he's dribbling the ball? I absolutely do. Sorry, Ty. I love you, but I'm nervous. But you know what? I love having him on the floor. And I was dead wrong about Ty earlier in the season. I didn't want him on the floor because I felt like offensively he really hurt us. I flip, my mentality on that, and I think he's much better than he was anyways. But then I just think what he gives you from a mentality standpoint, it's worth it, and it bleeds into the team.
Yeah,
it is. I'll give you a name. I'll give you a throwback name, Jimmy. And we didn't know each other back when this dude was playing. Because I don't think you had then started your show yet. But do what?
Randall Crutcher.
No. This is a more recent name. But I got a guy for you that Ty reminds me of, and not size for sure. You're going to know here in a second, or position, but Kelvin Jones.
Oh, okay.
I can see that. He was a 5-man for us, and he came off the bench. But that dude was the hardest playing guy.
The effort guy, yeah, absolutely.
And he was a guy that you just wanted to be around. He was always in a good mood. He had his fair share of quirks, but the dude was going to give you everything he had when he stepped on the floor, and that's how I feel about Ty. And I just think he's worked himself into it, and he started it in the offseason as being a leader. And and look, we've said it all year, like this team needs a leader. I'm not really going to go there that Ty is the leader of this team, But what I do think he
feels like
does,
this, Jason. Like I
see, I don't see. Yes, I can see that. I can see that. But like for me, it's not even that as far as just like naming a person as much as it is instilling a mentality of leadership. And that to me has been really interesting to watch as this year has gone on. He's gotten an opportunity to play. And you and I have talked about this. I've always said this. It's very hard to lead when you're not playing.
Agreed.
Because you're not on the floor. Now that he's playing, it seems to me that his natural leadership skills and his desire to be a leader is really able to come out because he's playing what he played tonight. He played 25 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
He had 6 rebounds, 2 points, right? Like there it is. He hit 2 free throws. That was his offensive contribution.
And it's all you needed.
But his fingerprints were all over this game.
Yeah.
And I mean, just can't say enough good things about him right now.
I want to make sure we get to the other scores around the Big East. UConn and Providence out in Rhode Island go into overtime. UConn, for anybody that's wondering or hasn't checked the score, UConn actually pulled that out in OT on the road against the Friars tonight. And then Marquette pulls off the upset at home over Xavier. And for a lot of people who thought that Marquette team may be the worst team in the league, that's a pretty big win.
Huge win for them. I mean, they needed it. I mean, it's the 2 worst teams in the league squaring off. They're going to be playing Wednesday night at the Big East tournament probably. But yeah, look, for Shaka, he needs that one.
I want to bring that up really quick because we got a really high number of viewers tonight. We appreciate everybody joining us. If you're a Marquette blogger or somebody that follows the team closely, we'd love to have you join the Big East Network. We're looking for a Marquette podcast to join the network. We'd love to talk to you. If there's anybody out there and you're interested, want to throw your hat in the ring, we'd love to talk with you. Get a hold of us at BigEastEnergy.com today. If you're just a fan of the Big East men's basketball or women's basketball and you haven't subscribed yet, like to subscribe to Big East Energy on YouTube. Case, I think we kind of covered it all. Big win for the Jays tonight. We're going to quick turnaround back at home. Let
me just say this, Jimmy. Let's just touch on St. John's real quick. I know because to me, this St. John's one sets up really nicely for us. They did play really well the other night against Butler, so I do feel like they've got a little bit more confidence. But by beating Villanova tonight, to me, it's given this team what it needed, and that's hope that they can find a way to make the tournament. Mm-hmm. What Murph said to me, what Murph said to us, is one game at a time. And if they can keep that mentality of just focus on St. John's, don't look past St. John's and think about March. Just think about January. I'm doing the kind of in my head, January 10th, against St. John's. If you can find a way to, for 40 minutes, be the better team, you just start stacking some of these wins, stacking some of these days of like good performance, showing that, you know what, we can play with anybody in this league. I think that's what this team needs, because I think when you do get to UConn, you need to be confident, but you also need to be playing for something. And if we can continue what we're doing right now, we will put ourselves in a position to where a UConn win could be the difference maker and would be the difference maker, provided we take care of business against the other teams that we need to beat come tournament time. So I really love where we're at right now compared to that night a couple weeks ago when they're driving home from Lincoln. The whole season feels different.
I want to ask something real quick, because when I asked Murph that question, or maybe you, I can't remember who asked, whoever asked Murph about the next game and the schedule, I did, it was me. And he answered one game at a time. You both kind of nodded in unison. Obviously, you've been on the staff previously, and you know what it's like to manage college athletes during the middle of the grind in January, where they're, to your point, got to be playing for something, and there's not really usually a whole lot to play for in this part of the season, especially if you're winning. But how difficult is it? And obviously the group matters, to keep that one game focus at a time, because there's obviously the Dan Hurley of it all that's coming to Omaha, and obviously Rick Pitino may show up in a white suit in 3 days' time, and all the lore of the Big East that comes along with it in these games that are coming up. And obviously there's a pretty big one coming up to gain all that focus. But when you're heading to Hinkle, or you've got Xavier or a down Marquette team coming to town, how difficult is it to kind of get everybody back in focus and keep everybody driving towards the same goal?
It's a really good question, and I think it's hard to give you just like a set answer because it really depends on where you're at in your season and also what, like, are you ranked? Are you favored to make the tournament? Like in our position, we're trying to play ourselves into the tournament.
Right.
So for me, it's not that hard to stay focused. What I think it can be, it's, I've said this before, and I got to think of another analogy because I keep going back to this well, but it's, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
I think that's the first time you said that on this podcast, though.
Is it? Maybe I've said it on the
I know you go
show.
to it quite a bit on the weekly show, but
maybe, but it's the truth, and it's how you have to approach this season. Because to me, the elephant is the NCAA tournament and getting a spot in that tournament. And you can't. There's not one game that you're going to win that's going to be like, okay, we're in, and the rest of them don't matter. It's all of these games, and especially your home games. So for me, it's okay. You got what was on paper the best team in the league. They've proven that they're not, and that they're probably middle of the pack, maybe towards the upper part of the league.
In Villanova, you mean?
No, I'm actually saying St. John's.
St. John's, okay.
Coming to Omaha with a golden opportunity for us to win a game that hopefully by the end of the season is a quad 1 win. That is the only thing that matters. Sure, Georgetown's a couple days later, and you got to win that game. And that becomes, look, this is where it gets to be weird, but like the Georgetown game becomes a must win too, because you can't lose that game. That's going to end up maybe being a quad 4 game, probably more quad 3, but you can't lose that one, because if you lose that one, you give what you just got tonight back. So like the Seton Hall loss doesn't hurt you, right?
Especially winning.
Right. It's just you missed an opportunity to really help yourself.
Yeah. Tonight,
we really helped ourselves. Now it's like, okay, let's focus on St. John's. Let's focus on Bryce Hopkins. Let's focus on Zuby. Find a way to beat that team, and then we'll celebrate. We'll do our dance in the locker room, and then we're going to turn the page to a Georgetown team that desperately needs wins. And and that's the other fun part about that is Mac and Cooley are really close.
Yeah.
So I can just tell you, when you play against Cooley, the scout is a little bit heightened because they're really good friends and they want to beat each other. And so there's a little bit extra attention given to that one. But it's, man, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I think
a little peek behind the curtain. I just text Casey and said the only reason I'm trying to wrap up is because my computer's dying and I don't know where my charger is. So I want to get to this.
Oh, I didn't see that, Jimmy.
No, you're fine, but the numbers keep going up. So appreciate everybody watching and pay attention. Maybe we just take this down to the last 1% that Jimmy's got on his Mac. But I want to talk about Zuby for a minute, because that is the aspect of St. John's that worries me the most, is that low post presence. We kind of saw it tonight when Jason wasn't available, and obviously it looks like he's going to be available for that St. John's game, but it didn't really go the greatest when you had Ryan Kalkbrenner in there against Zuby Ejiofor. So I'm very intrigued to see how this version of Creighton attacks this version of St. John's.
It's going to be so fun.
Because on paper, it should be a massive advantage for the Johnnies, and it just kind of felt like Murph kind of gave a little bit of a wink and a nod to the camera. I don't know if anybody caught that about getting ready for St. John's. So who knows? Maybe Greg McDermott's got something up his sleeve.
Well, Mac's always got something. But look, here's the deal. Owen Freeman, okay, if you're looking at a game where whenever he gets minutes, they're going to be really important, it's this one. And look, I don't know what he played. He played 8 minutes tonight. If he plays 8 minutes against St. John's, those 8 minutes they're going to go right at his neck. So he's got to be able to guard. What's going to be interesting to watch is Jason, because it's twofold for me. One, their 4-man where they play at the 4, where they play with Dylan Mitchell, they play a little bit of Bryce Hopkins at the 4. That's an absolute nightmare for us. That's a terrible mismatch for us, either guy. But Zuby at the 5, to me, it's going to be interesting to see what Jason can do, because Jason's strong. He can move his feet. Zuby leads them in assists
position too, and I think that's the key.
But so Zuby leads their team in assists per game. They really don't have very good point guard play. So that to me will be interesting, because Zuby can also shoot from the perimeter. So it's not your like prototypical 5-man in the post and it's going to beat you. It's going to be a little bit of, can you guard him on the perimeter? I don't hate the matchup. Now, he could give us 30 and 10, and I look like an idiot on Saturday, but I don't hate the matchup. But to me, it just says when we go to Owen, what happens?
Yeah,
and his
and
leash is going to be very short on Saturday.
the point guard thing is maybe the most intriguing to me because to me, that might make the most important guy on, was that Saturday? Right? Saturday, Nick Graves. And there was not spectacular point guard play tonight, even in a win. Like, listen, we'll nitpick a little bit. We talked about at the halftime show. You had 2 points and 3 assists from 3 different point guards. That's got to be better on Saturday because, as you mentioned, it's not great on the other side of the court. So you've got to find some sort of an advantage there. And Creighton's got to hit their threes on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think we will. I you know what? I'm really hoping that Isaac comes out and hits 4 or 5 threes for us and just get some confidence back, because that young man is I love that kid, and I feel for him. You could just see his body language. He just wants to come through. Like, he wants to play well, and he just had a hard time this road trip. He's a guy that, hopefully he can get some clean looks, hit some shots. I don't know how they'll guard him on some of those flares and actions that will run for him. So it'll be interesting to see. I have a lot of respect for Coach Pitino as a basketball coach
because of his game, or
because, well, what did you say? Oh, suit game. He does wear nice suits, but no, I think he's a very good basketball coach, and he'll have a.
Don't say nice things about him because he's
I think he's a hell of a coach. But no, it'll be interesting to see. He'll have a game plan. Let's hope that by Saturday afternoon that he's looking at that river and thinking, I might want to jump in, like you said a couple years ago.
One of the best lines. That's a good deal for Zero on the Roll Jays podcast. For minutes wondering, I made it down to 3%, so we appreciate everybody sticking that.
Hey, I'm gonna give. I've never done it. Can I give a shout out to Brady Happy?
No, you can't.
Okay, because Brady's one of our most loyal watchers. He was a manager for us when I was there. And besides,
he gave us that tweet the other day about knowing ball, right?
And besides one game at Las Vegas where he overslept or didn't set his alarm and missed shoot around, he was an unbelievable manager and a really good friend of mine. So I just want to give a shout out to Brady. I appreciate all your support, Brady.
Shout out to Brady, and a shout out to alarm clocks all over the world, saving people's jobs one day at a time. This has been the Roll Jays podcast, brought to you by Pepper Jack's Pyramid Contractors. The Coach's Corner tonight was brought to you by Sinovation Omaha. If you need indoor outdoor signage, check out Omaha Signs and Wrap.
And Home Field, Jimmy, Home Field Apparel, our new sponsor for the entire network. We'll get some graphics out soon, but big time sponsor for the network.
Didn't think that was official yet, so I was trying I was literally about to
it's official.
My next slide is going to be pay attention to Big East Energy Network for a big announcement coming up. So
it's official. So Home Field Apparel, get your
if you haven't checked out Home Field Apparel yet, I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff in my closet already from them before they sponsor the network. It is grade A fan stuff. Like, if you want to be the best dressed fan at your next home game, stop by homeapparel.com.
I think that jacket that Trey wore in to one of our shows.
I was going to ask you that when I saw you that, but
it's just too expensive for me. I got to get his salary.
It's very weird that Trey doesn't have a very high sense of fashion, and that costs a lot of money.
I think I could pull that jacket off though. So I might have to see
him wear the same pair of shoes twice. Just throwing it out there.
He does it.
All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Roll Jays podcast. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Big East Energy Network. Breaking news: we got a brand new sponsor, and thanks to Home Apparel very much for doing that. Thanks for everybody that watched. We'll see you next time. Roll Jays.